Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome our Kelso community here this evening to a traffic management plan for the opening of Lexington Elementary School. I'm Mary Beth Tack. I'm superintendent of Kelso School District. I would like to introduce our panel tonight. I have Scott Westland. Maybe we can just give a thumbs up or raise your hand. Scott Westland is our Chief Financial Officer for our school district. David McDaniel, representing Kelso School District, our transportation supervisor. We have from our construction services group, CSG, that helps support owners rep, is Phil Iverson, senior project manager, and Andrew Twyman, also our project manager. From the TMP project team, Heffron Transportation, Inc., we have representing that company, Todd McBrien, Vice President, and then Elizabeth Swan, Transportation Planner. And then finally, I just want to recognize three others that can't be here tonight, but I want to recognize those three individuals that have been instrumental in the work that we have to present this evening. Is Dylan Bass, the Building and Planning Associate and Environmental Planner. That's from Cowlitz County. Additionally, from Cowlitz County is Patrick Harbison, Public Works Utilities Manager. And then finally, Troy Brightville from the Sheriff's Office. He is representing as Chief Criminal Deputy. So that is our team that will be, that has invested many, many hours what we'll present tonight. We just want to direct your attention at the bottom of the screen, what it says Q&A. The Q&A is where anybody that is watching tonight can type in questions. Our panel can look at those and respond to those during the evening tonight. At the end, I'll just ask for any clarifying opportunities to answer any questions. So with that, I want to just share with you the excitement we have. The 2018 bond passage is allowing us ability to build this beautiful state-of-the-art elementary school for our community, and what an exciting process this has been. Tonight we'll share a sliver of that work, but an extremely important piece to the work, which is around the traffic management plan, around the safety and security that allows our students and staff and community to access that elementary in a very safe way. So with that, I want to turn it over to Scott Westland, again, our Chief Financial Officer for Kelso School District. Thanks for being here tonight.
Great. Thank you. Good evening. Just wanted to go over a few slides before we go over the draft transportation management plan. Just wanted to cover the agenda for this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about Lexington Elementary School, sort of the status and construction and what our timeline is moving forward. We'll go over the purpose and goals of the transportation management plan and why we're doing that this evening. We'll turn it over to Heffron Transportation, our transportation planning consultants, to go through the draft TMP parts thereof. There'll be a time for us to also answer questions, and we'll remind you of our comment period and survey that's currently out there. And then we'll talk briefly about our timeline for our next steps. So Lexington Elementary School, we're very excited, as the superintendent mentioned, scheduled to open in the fall of 2021, so about 10 months from now. The building itself should actually be completed around June 2021. We've already selected a school principal. The school principal will be Mr. Tim Yor. He's been with the Kelso School District as a teacher and building administrator for over 20 years. And so we're excited to have Tim lead the charge here with this exciting school out in Lexington. In terms of where we're at right now with the construction of the school, we're just about weathered in, meaning that we've got all the windows and the roofs and everything and doors, which keeps the weather out of the building. And we're currently working on a lot of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing within the building itself. And then on the outside, getting a good start on all of the siding that will go on the school itself. So it's coming right along. We're right on track, right on budget, and everything is looking great for the school itself. Just wanted to talk briefly about maybe what's inside the school itself for those of you that are there that might be interested. This is a diagram of our first floor. You'll notice on the diagram we've got a very large. Oops, went to the wrong one. Sorry about that. We have a very large gymnasium that will be able to house a lot of our community events as well as school events, a large commons area down there on the southern part of the diagram. The first floor consists mainly of kindergarten classrooms there in the light blue. In the green are some special needs classrooms program at the school itself, and in the red area is the area for our offices, for our administrative team, and for counseling and other types of student services that are provided. The second floor is mainly the classrooms for grades 1 and 2. The purple there in the middle is our library. And again, most of the classrooms are for grades 1 and 2 are primary level students. Third floor is all classrooms. This will be our classrooms for grades 3, 4, and 5. As you probably notice on all of the designs, we've got an elevator that goes up to the 3 floors. We've also got 3 stairways, one located on both sides, and also right there in the middle of the school for egress for safety reasons as well. So talk a little bit about the purpose and goals of our open house this evening. We wanted to be able to share this transportation management plan with the Lexington community. But most importantly, we've been seeking community feedback and comments on the draft transportation management plan. The survey's been open since October 19th, and it will remain open through this Sunday. For comments, I believe we've received at least somewhere close to 25 to 30 comments from different individuals. And so that will definitely help to influence the plan around the new Lexington Elementary School. And of course, with all of this, with this open house and the comments that we're receiving, we hope to be able to provide the Cowlitz County planning departments with a final transportation plan for them to approve sometime this either late winter or early spring, so that we can make any final touches that we need to make out in the Lexington community for providing safe routes to schools for all of our students. So at this time, I want to turn it over to Todd McBrien, who's the Vice President of Heffron Construction, and Elizabeth Swan for them to go through the draft transportation management plan.
Thank you, Scott. So just to give a quick overview as to the intention of this draft transportation management plan, this is a result of a special use permit condition that was required as a result, as part of the permitting process. So the county, after reviewing the application, one of the conditions was that we prepare a transportation management plan. The district has engaged us to help them with that process, and part of the transportation management plan element is actually this open house and the coordination with the county and the other jurisdictions that were mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. So the combination of this meeting as well as the plan ultimately, once we get it completed, will be obviously to help improve safety around the school, and then also to meet the requirements, the permitting requirements of the county. And then ultimately, once the plan is complete and implemented, the district intends to come back and do periodic monitoring just to make sure that the things are working the way they intend, and then we'll give them an opportunity to make adjustments after a year or so after being in the school. And I'll let Elizabeth move on and explain the elements of the TMP that we've prepared as a draft form for the district.
Thank you very much, Todd. You can go ahead and move to the next slide. I wanted to make just a couple of key points here as we're talking this evening, which is that this is a draft TMP, and we're going to use that term TMP a lot, which again stands for Transportation Management Plan. And so we really do invite feedback and comment at this point in the process. The team that is here this evening has spent a lot of time zooming through the neighborhood, both virtually and in person, really thinking about the setting and what is going to create a positive and safe experience for everyone in the school community. So really the purpose of this TMP, this Transportation Management Plan, is to create a safe school community. And we want to make it clear that when we talk about the school community, both in the presentation and if you're viewing the content of the draft TMP, that really extends beyond just the students and the teachers and the staff who are at the school. We include everyone who's living nearby. We include the businesses who are right there in the periphery. And so really everyone who is not only attending or a parent or working there, but also all of you who are living and are working nearby. So the purpose of the plan and thinking ahead about what every day will be like is to create a safe community. It's to educate everyone involved about what the options are for getting to and from school, what the expectations are for behavior and activities that are going to be happening there, and really to mitigate impacts. We know that this is a new building that's going in. These are going to be new daily activities, both for the families and everyone living and working nearby. And so the purpose of thinking ahead and presenting this plan is really to prevent some of the traffic congestion or other concerns that tend to come along with a new school coming to the neighborhood. One of the things that was required in preparing the plan, in addition to the things that you'll see this evening, or if you're viewing this after the fact, was to examine some of the options for future improvements. Some of those included potential pedestrian access down on Lexington and for facilities for students living north of Villa. Those are things that were examined as a part of the process, but you won't see as much explicit dealing in the actual content of the plan. So we're here to create, educate, and mitigate here this evening. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So what is it that the TMP actually addresses? There are 7 major components or major elements in the plan. First of all, transportation options, all of the different ways that there are to get to and from the school site every day. And then we go into a little bit more detail about how to do those things safely. What are the guidelines for walking and biking, for taking a bus, for getting there to and from the school in a vehicle? How are we going to handle large events at the school? And then dealing directly with the folks who need to get to and from school every day as employees, where are they going to park? And then what everyone can expect in terms of how elements of the plan are going to be communicated as we go through the year. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So first and foremost, we communicate that one of the best options for getting to and from school for those who are eligible is to take the school bus. It's the most efficient and effective way of getting the kiddos to and from the building every day. And school bus transportation is provided for everyone who lives within the school boundary, but outside of the walk area. And going forward, we'll talk a little bit more about who's impacted by the walk area. It is relatively small area given the size of the district. And we did have some initial questions in the survey for those who looked at it ahead of time about whether or not their particular street was included. We may ultimately need to adjust this map to account for all of the families who are within the district, but wanted to make it clear that school bus transportation is provided for all the students who live within the school boundary, but outside of the walk area. And so what is that walk area? Let's take a look and go ahead and move to the next slide. The walk area is essentially this area shown in gray, Villa and South and Sparks Drive and North. There are sidewalks in all of the walk area with the exception of the streets that are grayed out, that is along Lexington Avenue, and then also one street north where the mobile home park is. Otherwise, all of the area within the walk area does have sidewalks. We did go ahead and show where there are sidewalks just to the south, but again, everywhere that's shown in purple would be served by school bus, and the grayed out area is where you see that is considered the walk area. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. We wanted to show just that simplified version of where those sidewalk facilities are, but then also to show where the additional safety and pedestrian features are going to be within the walk area. Again, safety is really a priority of the plan. And so we wanted to make available where there are going to be crossing guards in the morning and the afternoon in order to help students and families and staff cross the street safely to the school facility. And then also some of the communication that will be there for vehicles, such as the stop signs in the neighborhood, some of our school speed limit signs communicating that this is a school area and to drive slowly. And then there will also be the addition of some of these flashing school speed limit signs, just communicating to approaching vehicles that you are in a school zone. So in addition to those sidewalks, there are those additional safety features communicating to vehicles that it's important to drive slow and watch out for people who are walking and biking. Go ahead and look at the next slide. In preparing the plan, there was a lot of effort made to really, again, prioritize safety and mitigate or minimize any potential conflicts. And so in the draft TMP, there are some recommendations for how all of the different modes will be moving and existing together in and around the school. What you see here is an outline of the recommended primary travel paths for the different modes. You'll see that we have all of the school buses coming in from the north. School bus does have a dedicated driveway for entry and exit and a dedicated load and unload area for students that will be separate from family vehicles and people who are arriving either as pedestrians or on a bicycle. So that's the route in yellow. In purple, you see the route that's intended for family vehicles. The recommendation is for family vehicles and private vehicles to arrive from the south via Sparks Drive. That does mean that for families coming from the north who will be arriving in a private vehicle, the recommendation is still to approach the school from the south via Sparks Drive. And the purpose of that is really to provide this sort of dedicated and separate travel pathway for that travel mode option. What you see in blue then are the paths that we would expect to see a lot of our bicycles and our students and families walking to and from. And while there are facilities along different travel paths, again, the recommendation of these routes is really to provide a separate pathway where there wouldn't be any conflicts with, for example, the school buses or the family vehicle. You'll see that on this particular image, there isn't anywhere where those paths overlap, which is a good thing. That's keeping everyone separate in their respective and safe area, hopefully creating an arrival and departure situation that's safe and easy for everyone and void of conflict. So again, that's school buses from the north, family vehicles from the south along Sparks, and then there are recommended paths of travel for bikes and pedestrians that keep them on the sidewalk and using those crossing guards and crosswalks wherever they're positioned. Let's go ahead and look at the next slide. The management plan also includes a whole lot of do's and don'ts of being a good neighbor. And of course, that does include recommendations to always follow all of the applicable laws. That includes traveling slowly, not parking in a way that would block or impede crosswalks, that would not block or impede driveways or travel lanes. So it's very important that we're communicating both to the school community, that is the students and faculty and staff, to follow the laws and to behave in ways that are going to have them be good neighbors, but then also let the rest of the school community, in terms of our residents and our businesses, know that these are the expectations that are being communicated to the folks who will be arriving to and from the school and being a part of that in-school community every day. And again, those are daily do's and don'ts, but then we've also communicated similar expectations for when there are large events on campus, when there would be a lot more people than usual coming and staying in the neighborhood than those daily school activities. This isn't an exhaustive list of behaviors that you see up on the screen, but for anyone who is interested, the draft plan is available to view in the full text, and you can see all of those do's and don'ts and expectations that are communicated in the plan. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And again, communication really is a critical part of the TMP, as evidenced in all the work that's being done ahead of time to get feedback and share the content, but then also going forward on an as-needed basis and in ways that families and the neighbors and all of the businesses and community can expect to understand what's going on. So there is in the plan included just regular and routine student and family communications in the form of these do's and don'ts and the guidelines that we've gone over today for those major elements. They'll also be provided ahead of events where there's expectation that maybe there won't be parking capacity to support all of the attendees. And then the neighborhood can expect to receive a calendar of events ahead of each school year. So there will constantly be this effort to look and plan ahead to understand what the impacts are going to be and to let the immediate school community of students, families, faculty, and staff know where and how they can get to and from the school with minimum impact. And then also so the neighborhood can know ahead of time and on any kind of ongoing as-needed basis what any anticipated impacts are so everyone can be prepared and know the expectations ahead of time. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And communication, just sort of transportation, it's not set and forget, it's not one and done. As there are events that come up that maybe weren't anticipated ahead of time, those will be communicated and made available by the school. Once all of the final contacts for the elements in this plan are known, those will also be communicated. So if for some reason something wasn't mitigated or prevented and you need to provide some feedback about a concern that you have or a question that you have, there will be an in-person contact provided for questions and feedback going forward. And again, even at this point, your feedback and input are welcome on this draft. There is a link that is available where you can view the full content of the TMP. There are some images and explanation that are provided in this online experience. And you are welcome to take some time looking at the draft and submit your comments and questions going forward. That will be open through November 8th. So if you are viewing this now and it's a lot to take in, or you're viewing this after the fact and you want to submit some comments or questions, please go ahead and visit that link and have that online experience. And there will be every effort made by the team here this evening to answer those questions going forward. And with that, I believe we do have some time here for comments and questions or clarification on what you've seen here this evening.
Great. Superintendent Tack, do we have any questions that need to be answered? I'm not sure I can see them on my screen.
I do not have any currently, so I would just ask that our attendees, I can unmute since there's a few of you. If you'd like to ask any questions, please let me know.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Are they going to be putting in designated crosswalks on Spark South Tourist and Boardwalk intersection?
I'll try to answer that one. We do have the recommendation to ensure that we do have crosswalks available. We work quite a bit with our both city and the county in this case for putting crosswalks up and flashing beacons. We're currently in that process right now, adding some additional safety measures out there at the Kelso Elementary School. So the county is very well open to our conversations about keeping students safe. And so we'll definitely be having those conversations with them as part of this process, and we'll ensure that we have adequate crosswalks and flashers and warning signals available for the community out there.
Are they considering putting any kind of people out there flagging for people on that intersection as well?
Are you referring to the Sparks Boardwalk intersection or out on West Side Highway or just by the school?
Are you able to clarify that, Kathy?
It looks like she's muted, so I don't know if.
I'm concerned about the kids crossing from Alturas across Sparks Drive onto Boardwalk. That's a Sparks is already a very heavily traveled street. So I'm real concerned that are they gonna have crossing guards or anything? Are they considering that for them to cross at Alturas and Sparks over to Boardwalk?
I don't believe we have that currently outlined in the transportation management plan, but because you've brought up that concern, we'll add that to our notes and we'll have that conversation internally here. But I would agree that Sparks Drive is definitely going to be a busy street with that being the entrance and the exit for parent drop off of students. So it's definitely something we need to consider. So thank you.
And again, you have the chat feature at the bottom. If you'd like to type something in, one of our panelists can answer as well.
Does this PMP include any kind of traffic stoplight out for West Side Highway and Rainbow where those buses are coming in? Or is that addressed in a different area?
It's not addressed in the TMP. It was addressed in the traffic plan. It's not required for there one to be put at that intersection through the Department of Transportation. That would have to be something that would have to occur probably after the fact of the construction of the school.
One other element, Scott, would be any installation of traffic signals need to meet standard manual and uniform traffic control device warrants. And so that would be something that if it becomes necessary, they could look at, but just the addition of some school buses is probably unlikely to change the warrant condition at that intersection.
Okay.
Any other further questions for our panelists?
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on here. We're just about finished with our presentation this evening. Just wanted to remind those that are viewing that, again, our comment period is available from October 19th through November 8th, and we've got a link that's listed there on our presentation. We also have the information on our school district website, and this information will also be put on the Lexington Elementary School website, along with all the drawings and instructions and public relations pieces that we will be putting together to help communicate this plan to the public. So before I go through the timeline here for our next steps, just want to make sure I thank those of you that are here this evening. I also want to thank Heffron, Elizabeth, and Todd for the work that they've put in with the development of this plan, and for all of the county staff that have participated in reviewing the plan and providing guidance for us to put this together to get us to this point. Again, as the superintendent mentioned, we're very excited about the new school out in Lexington, and we believe that school and staff and student safety is of utmost importance, and this transportation management plan helps ensure that we get our students and staff to the school and our community there safely. So in terms of next steps for this transportation management plan, tonight, of course, is our open house. Again, our comment period is open through November 8th, this Sunday. From that point, we'll be reviewing the comments and questions, and we'll be making some decisions about updating the transportation management plan. At some point over the next couple of months, we'll be putting that together. There will likely be a final public review in January or thereabouts. And hopefully from that point, we'll be able to finalize and submit a TMP for Cowlitz County approval sometime in the late winter to early spring. Our hope is from that point, and I don't have it listed on here, but I just mentioned it, we'll be spending quite a bit of time communicating out to the community, both in Lexington and also the families of students and staff that will be attending there. Our expectations for safe travel to and from school and all of the recommendations that are put out through the TMP. So that'll be a big part of our work this spring and over the summer to get us ready for the start of school, which would again will be in the fall of 2021. Todd also mentioned that once we start the school this year, this upcoming next year, we will be monitoring and revising the TMP as we move forward. We'll be utilizing likely Heffron Transportation to help us with that monitoring, since they've done such a nice job with putting this presentation together and the plan together for us. Working with them to continue to revise this so that we make sure that we get it right and that we have safe modes of transportation to and from the new Lexington Elementary School. So with that, I'll say thank you again. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be posting this recording online for those that weren't able to make it live this evening, for those to view. And we'll look forward to addressing any future concerns or questions that may arise either tonight or into the future. And again, our hope is that we have a plan that's been influenced by all those participants and stakeholders out in the Lexington community, so that we have a plan that everybody finds to be acceptable and something that will work for everybody. So with that, I'll say good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.